The Royal Enfield Himalayan. This little bike beside me. What is it all about? We took it out for a drive and we'll let you know. So the Royal Enfield Himalayan actually comes in two versions now. The one that you'll see us driving around, which is the traditional bike that came out originally, and the Scram that I have beside me. Essentially, they're the same motorcycle, just very different styling. So they are both based off of a 411cc single piston engine and a dual sport chassis, meaning this can go off-road or it could go on-road and do both very well. So the cool thing with the Himalayan that is very obvious is its styling. It is like nothing else on the market, especially in that CC. So when you're looking at smaller bikes or beginner bikes or something lighter, you're usually pretty limited on style. They didn't do that with this bike. So it's got a retro feel to it, yet it's a small CC that people can afford to buy and can afford to insure, which is the most important part. With that 411cc, they were still able to pump out 25 horsepower, so it's not gonna win any races, but it's definitely capable of highway speeds and sustaining that for a long time, and of moving good payloads. Nice sized driver, you could put some bags on it, you could do a few things, and it's not gonna be a problem for the bike. The Himalayan comes at a funny time in Royal Enfield's history because it's one of their first more modern built bike. So in 2015, 2016, with the introduction of the Continental GT, that was the first bike that was built in, for all intents and purposes, a modern motorcycle factory. So the standards got a lot better, the bikes got a lot better, and way more consistent. The Himalayan was the first all new model that came out of there, and since it's been out, it's been extremely popular. The price point on this bike, between $6,000 and $7,000, is extremely attractive. When we're talking motorcycle pricing, that is crazy. You're getting nothing for that. So for the amount of style and everything that this bike is delivering, that is definitely a buying bargain. If you're looking at entry-level bikes and you like, a dual sport or a little bit of an adventure bike, this is one you've got to check out. In terms of the riding, the bike is what you would expect it to be in terms of power. That being said, it carries itself very well. In terms of the lightness, it's great. So this is about a 199 kilogram bike, or 440 pounds. So it's not necessarily on the super lightweight, but it's not on the heavyweight either. So it's something that's gonna be steady on the highway, and especially when we were passing 18-wheelers and stuff, it's not moving us too much. So some nice weight there, but very easy to learn and to recoup any mistakes that you made. So the one odd thing about the bike, being that it is a dual sport bike, I gotta be able to ride this neutrally, meaning I'm supposed to be able to stand on the pegs, have good control over those handlebars for any obstacles or any rough terrain. Well, on the Himalayan, they kind of have a little bit of a funky, wide gas tank when you stand, and your knees are actually far apart. So you could definitely do it, but on my much larger bike, which is a KTM Super Adventure 1290, so a drastically bigger engine, almost 1,000 cc's more, it's a lot narrower there and a lot more comfortable. So a little bit of an oversight in building that bike. That being said, if I was driving over obstacles or anything like that, can I make it work? 100%. It's not stopping me from driving the bike, or it wouldn't even stop me from buying the bike. In terms of seating position, that was one thing to note, that the seat is actually very different on the regular Himalayan and the Scram. The Scram seems to have a little bit more of a comfy seat, but the seat on the regular Himalayan was great as well. So if you want to drive this bike all day long, I wouldn't see a problem at all with that. The styling, that's what I keep coming back to, because for the price of the bike, the CC, the insurance cost, the ability for an entry-level rider to get in it, it is an amazing little package, and it does the job very, very well. Another cool thing that is now coming standard on the Himalayans is they have ABS. We don't think of ABS as a big deal because we're used to cars. ABS was brand new in 1986, so nobody really cares. On motorcycles, it's a lot more complicated. You only have 2 points of references, and on loose terrains, they're never gonna be doing the same thing. So an ABS on a motorcycle is a lot more important. Also, in the event that you need to stop an emergency, if you lock up that back tire, you can control it, but if you lock up the front tire, you could lose that motorcycle right away. So being that this bike tailors well to any rider, but is very attractive to an entry-level rider, ABS is a very nice thing to have, very comforting, that just, it's a nice security blanket to not ruin your motorcycle experience. If we want to talk about competitors, it's hard to pin down the Himalayan because it fits somewhere between a dual sport and an adventure bike. if we look at that CC and we compare it to a 390 Adventure from KTM, well, the KTM is gonna have drastically more power, but it also looks completely different. That's like comparing a Corvette to a Jeep. Nobody's doing that. It doesn't make any sense. The other thing too is if we go full motocross and look like a Kawasaki KLX 300 or things like that, we're gonna be comparable in terms of power and everything, but again, they look so different. That's what makes the Himalayan cool. It stands on its own. It looks like something that maybe Triumph would have done, so it's very true to its roots in terms of British origins, even if they're built in India. But yeah, it's definitely a cool bike, and pinning down a competitor for it, you're gonna be doing it with specs. There actually is no direct competitor to this bike. So my impressions of driving the Himalayan and the Scram, which I got a chance to drive both, although you're only seeing me drive one, I could tell you I drove both. They're great little bikes. They're a lot of fun. You're not gonna win any races, but you're gonna get out there, you're gonna be in the outdoors, you're gonna be smelling it, you're gonna be feeling it. It's motorcycle riding, so that's a good day. You can cruise at 60, 65 mile an hour, so like 100, 105, very comfortably, and it's not a problem. This is definitely a bike that's best suited to take the back road. That's where you'll have a lot of fun with it. Like if you were on a major highway or a major interstate, it's not gonna be super happy. It'll do it, but you shouldn't expect that out of a single piston bike anyways. Like you're looking at the wrong bike if you need to commute on a highway. Just go check something else out.